Alright everybody, welcome back again to the KSR YouTube channel. And we're back in the dyno room today to tune on not a Mustang. I know the bumper says Mustang. This car's been on the channel before, a little ways back, but for those of you Fox body experts, you might notice it's got a little bit of, there's a bulge in the fender there, as well as the quarter panels. I know it says Mustang on the quarter windows too, but it is actually a Mercury Capri. And it's a good buddy of Kimber named Rob, and it has one of our built 5.3 liter short blocks in it. And Rob's kind of doing, it's like some fun street car stuff with this thing. Had a 6 liter in it that was a completely stock bottom end Gen 3 6 liter. And I kind of was scared about that thing coming apart. But we've got a goal today of making 1,000 wheel horsepower with this thing. And I think it's attainable. Like, the only thing that I think might hold it back some are the turbo manifolds. If you guys remember way back on Cletus's Ruby, they had those manifolds on the car, and when they took them off, gained a lot of horsepower. They're great for street stuff, up to, say, I usually tell people they're great up to like 1,000 horsepower, but we're trying to make 1,000 wheel horsepower, so that's 1,150 horsepower, 1,200 horsepower at the crankshaft. We'll see. So it's time for me to get to work, bring you guys along for the ride. Alright, well, while you're here, if you like what you've been seeing on the channel lately, please check your subscription. Things have been like up and down here lately. Like, it'll be up 100 one day and then down 50 the next, and up and down. It used to be a lot more consistent. I mean, when I wasn't posting videos, things were going down, you know, 10 to 15 a day, which is to be expected. But we're back at it again. Hopefully we can get up over that 300,000 subscriber mark. It's been a hot minute since we've been approaching that 300,000 mark and been within 1,000 once or twice before. But we appreciate you guys watching. Would love for you to subscribe to the channel and then click the notification bell so you are notified whenever we release a new video. And we'll probably do something special when we get to 300,000 subscribers. Got some ideas, and as we get a little bit closer to those, we'll announce them. But yeah, let's see if we can get to tuning on this thing. Actually, let's check the cold start on it. Go back here and turn the power on. Oh, power's on. Hopefully the battery's not dead. Hey, that's not too bad. Cool, that's not bad. So this car is on E85, just regular pump E85. And I'm gonna get into the computer, start making some pulls after it warms up. All right, well, first order of business on this thing is I'm gonna take the old boost ramp and turn it down. So I've already tuned this car when it had the 6 liter in it, and when they installed this engine in the car over at Kimber's house, went over there and messed around with the startup tune and some of the initial base tune, which should be pretty close on the driving side of things. So we'll figure that out more on this first drive. I'm going to be recording the data log, and we'll go on into go ahead and make a pull here and see what kind of power it makes on just a couple of PSI. Won't be a lot because it's the first pull, but then the goal is to turn it up more and more as we go through this video. So let's see what happens. like a whole lot of horsepower, but I didn't rev it all the way out. Come on, dyno screen. Wow, 412. That's actually not bad on what should have only been 1 to 3 PSI of boost. Let me get into the file and see what we see. All right, well that was 3.5 PSI. Lifted before the very top end of the pole. Oil pressure looks great. Fuel pressure looks great. All the vitals look pretty good. So let's take it further. I'm gonna leave the boost alone, but take it more RPM, and then I've given it some more timing because the timing was pretty conservative at that low amount of boost. Just gonna tune that to where it's happier down on the bottom into the pole. Figure out what we can figure out. See what a degree or two of timing did. All right, well, I like the timing. Picked up 26 horsepower. Cool. Time for me to do a little work, and maybe we'll turn up the boost on the next one. All right, well, we are turning it up a little bit for this pole. Instead of 2 PSI here, we now have 10. And you'll notice I'm not hitting it with a bunch of boost down at lower RPM. Like there's just no need to try and hammer the engine down at that low of RPM, especially with a stick shift car. I prefer to like make all the power kind of 4,500 RPM and up, because you never should really drop below that. Like if you was racing the car, running through the gears. So, let's see what happens with 10 pounds on her. I don't think that made any more boost. Let me see why. Well, I forgot to turn on boost switch. Forgot to arm the boost control. Wasted run. But it made within half a horsepower of what it did on run 2. Hate to want to do that. Waste runs. Waste my time. Oh well. I'll do another one here. Sounded sportier. 541. I was thinking more than that. Let's see what's up. All right, well that was just under 9 pounds of boost. So for it to pick up 100 horsepower with an additional, let's see, 3.5 to 9. Is that 5.5? Yeah, I mean it's around, I think 18, 19 horsepower per PSI. So, it's not too bad. I gotta run and go get my kids from school. and then we're gonna come back and turn this thing up some more. All right, so we're back, and I've decided to try a run, same tune, but without the air filter. I noticed that right at the top of the pole, everything looked good. Dome pressure, fuel pressure, oil pressure, all that stuff looks great, but the boost fell off like 2-3 PSI right at the very top of the pole, and you can kind of see it in the dyno graph. It really, right there at the end, where it should continue to keep climbing up, probably closer to 600 on that pound, that amount of boost. Maybe not 600, but at least a good 570. So we'll see what it does this time. Same dome pressure. That'll be that. Interesting. Had some data to look at after that one, because at the very top of the pole it shot up and made some extra boost. That should have done that. Unless that air filter really made that big of a difference, but let's look at some data and figure out what's going on. Alright, well, possibly it was some boost creep. So I'm gonna try basically the same tune-up again. Did just a little cleaning up of the fuel map in the areas of the table that it was running through. Just correcting, pulling in and out 2 to 3%, which I'm pretty happy with. It did change it, taking the air filter off. Like the run before, it was removing 2 to 3% because it was rich, and now it was adding 1 to 2%. So it kind of tells me the air filter was a restriction. Now let's see if it does the same thing again, and it might just be that we need to do some wastegate re-engineering. Yeah. That's how it goes sometimes. Alright, well it made 15 instantly that time. So we got something going on somewhere. Wastegate problem or something. Alright, so made the decision that I was expecting to put 30 PSI to this thing. So I'm gonna see what it makes for power at 15 PSI for the whole run. Not too upset about that, but if it makes more than 17 PSI, it's gonna revert and cut ignition. So, but I think the wastegate may be stuck partially shut, but if I can get a good run and then maybe increase the dome pressure a little bit more, well, I'll learn something. But I'm not scared of this thing at 15. You know, it's gonna put 30 PSI to it, but I wanna have control over it. That's the issue. Even though I'm kind of not 100% sure whether or not I have control over it right now, we're gonna learn something. That was 663, I think, at about 15 and a half, 16 pounds of boost. Not quite sure what we got going on there that changed. Yeah, I took the air filter off. That it made that much difference. I suppose if it was a restriction, if everything looks safe, maybe I just keep creeping up from here. Alright, well, I turned it up another 5 psi and we'll see if it's got control, and maybe it's just got something to do with the air filter coming off of it. So we'll see what happens on this one. Not 100% sure about that. Like, it came up and then it came up some more. Definitely like the wastegate is sticky or something. Might have to call Rob and see what he thinks about us pulling the wastegate off the thing, because it's certainly not consistent. Even though the dome pressure is good, the only thing that's really got a control over the energy going into the turbo is the wastegate. Okay, well, figure something out. All right, so I noticed last pull, we were starting to get a little closer to the duty cycle limit that I wanted to achieve. So I raised the base fuel pressure 10 psi, which hopefully will get us a little more range on the injectors. See if we can make a little more power. Well, either the fuel pressure dropped or the we're in an injector duty cycle still. Yeah, made more power early, but I got some data to look at, see if we can figure out, because something definitely, when I looked down and saw the air fuel, like I was watching air fuel, watching boost back and forth, and I've got a safety in there that pulls out a bunch of timing if things get unhappy. I can see the power fall off even though the boost is still way up there. So we've got some looking to do and figure out what our next step is. So, oh, race cars. All right, well, I think I'm gonna call that an end to this video, just because it shows you guys some of the struggles we go through as dyno tuners. And I know I'm not the only guy that's have problems with this. Sometimes things, you can't see what problems you're gonna have. Like the wastegate sticking is an issue. Now we seem to be, so it pitches the fuel or the alternator belt, which lowers the voltage, which lowers the fuel pump output. And then now the fuel pump isn't keeping up, and the fuel pressure falls off. Whoa. Fuel pressure falls off, and the duty cycle starts going up. So we've got some things to address, but that's how these things go sometimes. I usually try to overkill everything, and I think Rob was trying to overkill stuff too. And the power went from this kind of, when we first put this thing together, it was a naturally aspirated Gen 3 6-liter. And then I think he had some nitrous on it. And then he put the turbo system on it, and it was making like 700. I looked through his files. It was making 700 on 17 psi with the Gen 3 6-liter, but I was worried it was going to scatter itself, so I didn't have it making peak boost until 6,000 RPM to try and keep the rods in it. But we run into a problem, so we'll talk to Rob this weekend, see if we can figure out. Definitely need to fix the alternator bracket so it'll hold the alternator belt. May take the fuel pumps apart, so it's got a dual Holley fuel pump on it, the 12-1800, I think. I know it's one of the dual Holley pumps. So, need to check into that. Another option may be to actually put this thing on like a C16 race gas, because, you know, E85 takes 35% or so more fuel, especially when you're making boost. You really want to put a lot of fuel in there. So that's kind of where we're at. And, you know, we're stuck there until we figure out what we're going to do. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. Appreciate everybody watching. Believe it or not, it was 84 degrees here today. It was 36 yesterday morning. I actually had frost at the house, so it must have been colder than 36. But had frost at the house yesterday morning, and it was 84 today. So these giant swings in weather are interesting. I mean, like, it's not a whole lot of fun. But anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.